Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Zito, and on behalf of SiriusXM, I want to thank you so much for coming out to Stephen Talkhouse for a very special, very intimate episode of SmartLess.
Here we go. That's us. You guys.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
Thank you for being here. You guys aren't really fans. You're friends of ours.
Yeah.
So that's very nice
so
of you
that's
to
nice.
show
Yes,
up.
Thank you, everybody.
Drive all the way out here to Long Island.
Pay nothing,
Really nice.
Pay nothing.
right?
The first
Sit here and be like, all right, yeah, entertain us.
We're very excited to be doing we're going to do 4 live shows
every year.
Every year. We're going to do the
We're open to less, Scott, but that's fine.
We do the regular sort of podcast on the computer thing, right?
Yeah.
What do you watch it or listen to it on, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do 4 live. So this is our first one. Very excited about it. On top of that, we've got our white whale. This is people would ask me like, who have you not interviewed that you want to? Howard Stern, because he doesn't do this, and he's the man.
Yeah.
He is the man.
No, we feel very, very blessed that he and we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah,
is that your intro? No.
Yeah, no.
I don't have an intro.
Okay, no,
Sean's
no,
got an
I
intro.
wrote-
Look at
I
the
wrote-
cards.
I wrote a
Well,
bunch
here,
of
hang on.
for
I do
a
want to
week.
say. I do want to say something. So
I'm like Fanning. Who's the little Dakota Fanning when she was a little girl? She was really over-prepared in the best way. I did Cat in the Hat with her. Go on.
We got something to trim already.
Yeah.
the audience is riveted by that story. Fucking what? Dakota Fanning?
Well, she was really
That's a new
smart
verb
and
for
like
everybody
Okay.
prepared.
I mean,
I love that about her.
But everybody here knows who our guest is going to be, so there are not a lot of surprises.
Yes.
So there is one surprise that we do have today, just to kind of get everybody warmed up, to get us warmed up a little bit.
Yeah.
Something, Sean, you don't know about.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Don't worry, it's not your dad.
This
We
is-
still can't find him. It's so fun because he left.
Yeah.
Top speed.
You know, he came to
Tears are still wet, huh?
I would tell you he came to the last show of Goodnight Oscar in Chicago.
Yeah,
Did I ever
would you
tell
want
you
to walk
that?
us through that? This is kind of a sad story. I don't know if we want to...
Yeah. All right. But
Lead
anyway,
off
we
with-
can get back to that again. Keep
It's
going.
a true story. He did,
He
right?
came to the last show. I didn't even know he was
Did
there.
he go backstage?
No.
No.
It was wild. Go ahead.
Did he have notes?
Yes. Yes, he emailed them to me.
That is pretty weird.
Wait, did you see him?
I didn't. My sister,
Tracy?
Yes, that's correct. He emailed he posted on Facebook that he went to the last show, and that's all he wrote. And my sister, to bait him, like, don't you want to say something about your son that you haven't seen in 75 years? He said,
You look great.
Yeah, by the way, for 75?
And he just wrote back, Oscar Levant, just like I remembered him. That was it. Isn't that wild?
Wow.
Anyway,
How long have you not seen him?
40 years?
And he's in the theater with you. You
Yes.
just starred in something. He didn't stick around
No.
to say,
No.
What
Isn't
a
that weird?
what a treat.
And then wait, and then check this out. 2 gay guys came up to Scotty in the audience because Scotty was there, and they go, "Are you Scotty?"
That's not the whole story? No. Okay.
They came up to Scotty and they said, "Oh, I just want to let you know we live next door to Sean's dad, and I understand they don't see eye to eye."
Was that a shot at your mom? For those of you who don't know, Sean's mom famously has one fake eye.
Yes,
Had.
Because hilariously, she died.
So Sean should be an axe murderer, right? I mean, but he's...
Well, let's see how this
He's
goes.
the nicest guy. He's the kindest. We love him.
Well, we all have skeletons. Go ahead.
Of one-eyed parents.
One-eyed parents.
But so we do have one surprise tonight, just so to try to bring us out of the hole of Sean's upbringing. So I've asked the guy to come here tonight just to do a little something before we get going.
Are you serious? Are you being
I swear to
serious?
God, yeah. He's an Emmy winner. He's a finalist on America's Got Talent. He's been on the Jimmy Fallon program. amongst others.
Is that what it's called? The program?
It's called the Jimmy Fallon program. That's what the producers tell me. I don't know. There he is, Jimmy.
God.
Thank you, Jimmy. Please don't stand up. No, please don't stand. Please
Mr.
sit
Fallon.
down.
Mr. Fallon.
I beg you to sit down.
Thank you to sit down.
Fucking
Love it.
God, we
It
saw
wasn't
the
an
Olympics.
intro, Jimmy.
We get it. You're on NBC.
Yeah.
And you own Wayfarers.
Yeah. By the way, Jimmy, on all seriousness, you were great in Jurassic World. I thought that was great.
Down
Thank
again.
you. Thank you.
Again, down. But he is. He's done so many things. No, she's not here, man. She didn't make it.
She's working on her stuff.
He's one of the world's most sought-after mentalists. He's worked with clients ranging from A-list celebrities, heads of state, Fortune 500 companies. Guys, please welcome the amazing Oz Perlman. Just to kick us off.
Guys,
Do a little something special for us.
What? I didn't know.
Yes.
guys,
Not
this is
Dakota Fanning, unfortunately. I know.
this
Wait
is
a
This
our,
is a
minute.
surprise to Sean. Sean knows
He was
nothing
waiting
about
for it to be his dad.
Can
I'm
I
sorry,
t-
Sean.
Wait, can I tell you something?
Tell me.
He sends me clips of you all the time.
That's what Will told me.
I'm obsessed. I think this is amazing.
Sean
Let's see what I've
legit
got.
doesn't know anything about this.
Sean has no idea.
This is
Wait,
wild.
Will,
Wait,
you have my phone number, right?
Yeah.
And my email address?
Yeah, I got it all.
I don't like
do you know
clips
who-
of things.
Do you know who this is? Do you know who this is?
Too
He,
grouchy.
he sort of clued me into it. It's
He's
our
crazy.
SmartLess amuse-bouche today, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Wait, this is so cool. This is
Here's
so
what I do,
cool.
Jason.
Appetizer.
Supposedly I read minds, but if I'm going to know how people think,
Yeah.
right? I need to know what they're thinking at the same time.
This is
Here's Will's skill. Everybody, where are my SmartLess fans in the room? Come on. Will notoriously knows dates years behind.
Yes,
Everything. You tell him
yes.
June 2006,
Yep.
he knows what he's wearing.
That's right.
Jason can't remember what he had for breakfast today.
That's
Am I
right.
right?
True.
That's right.
Yes.
Sean,
Yeah.
Webby Award winner, best
I
host.
thought you were going to say Sean ate Jason's
Yes,
breakfast.
that might have been. Here's what I want you to do. I'm putting tasks out there. You're going back in time, thinking of somebody that these guys would not know, somebody from your past that they would not. You know what, Jason? Go back in time. Think of the first girl you ever had a big crush on. Think to how old you were at the time,
I got it.
and tell them. Because if I'm listening to this on my podcast right now, I'm saying this is set up. This is fake. Before today, and me asking you to think of her, has it been days, months, or years since this person popped in your mind?
Years.
Years.
Yeah.
They didn't even know it was going to be on the show. Count the number of letters in her first name just to yourself. No, don't use your fingers. Jason, I can see your fingers.
Okay, you're yelling at me. I'm fucking nervous
why-
that you're
this
going to
is why
guess
I did
it, and I'm
4
going to be all
emails.
freaked out. This is coming out at your time, Howard.
5 letters. Was it 5 letters?
Yes.
I watched your eyes.
okay.
He has not thought of this person in years. This is not set up, because if it was, it'd be going better. Tell us all, for everybody listening, I have written down, everybody in the room, don't say the name, but if you can see what I wrote down clear as day, everybody in the room say, yeah. Yeah. Close your eyes for me, Jason. Close your eyes.
But if you get this,
You guys
like
see it?
you're going to be in my life the rest of my life.
that is what I
Because
do.
I'm never going to let you go.
Like a splinter that doesn't leave.
Well, clearly you let her go, but go ahead.
You haven't thought of her in years. I wrote it down. Everybody in the room has seen it. How old were you at the time, Jason?
14.
Ooh, 14. And tell us, what was this young lady's name?
Paula.
And I wrote down Paula, 14. For those who can't see Jason's face, he is in shock.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why aren't you a trillionaire on Wall
How do you-
Street?
It's my former job. Will, you thought of
You're
something.
wasting this at Stephen Talkhouse.
I'm
with a
monetizing.
bunch
We're
of
in the
idiots.
Hamptons, Jason. Trust me. I'm monetizing. Will,
Yes.
you're back in time.
Yeah.
You're thinking of somebody. Jason's shook up, by the way. I wish they could see his face and not just hear the
But
text of his
how are you
voice.
not-
That's the most surprised his face gets, by
Yes.
the way. What do you think your face is doing right now?
Smiling?
It's very good when
Sean,
you smile.
how about this?
All right.
You read his mind. You were so confident with Jason, and then you had
just
no
sees
idea.
cookies.
Is there any way in the world, Will, that Sean knows who popped in your head when I asked you to think of somebody from your past?
No.
Okay. Take a pad of paper.
Yep.
Sean,
Yeah.
here's the game plan.
Okay, I'm so scared.
I need you to act.
Good luck.
Sean, look at my hands.
Yeah.
And can you tell everybody listening in, I'm going to pretend in a moment I have a crystal ball in my hand. Do I actually have anything in my hands?
Zero, nothing.
Everyone in the audience, is there anything in my hands? No. Sean will swear up and down that he saw a crystal ball appear in my hands, and in it, the name of your friend as a kid, or whoever this person is. Have you written down a name?
I have.
Can anybody see it right now other than you?
I don't think so.
Sean, look into Will's soul and tell him
Good luck.
what name did you see in that crystal ball. Tell him what, before I walked in here, have we spoken a word in our life, Sean?
Never.
Tell him who's he thinking of. Say it.
Scott.
You fucking what?
Turn it around, show the audience.
Fucking what?
I can't hear you in this room. Are we seeing the same show?
How is that possible? How is that possible?
Holy shit. That is unbelievable.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Yes.
Huge fan.
Wow.
Huge fan.
Incredible. So, guys, how do you introduce a man who needs no introduction because he's one of the most famous people on the planet, plus he's on the poster outside? He's the king of all media, the interviewer of all interviewers, the winner of Best Hair in America 4 years in a row. He's a great artist, a great painter.
More sincere.
Yeah, no, wait, I lost my thing. And he is incredible. He's the most amazing person. And now his home for 20 years has been Sirius XM, which is now ours, which makes us roomies. It's the most incredible icon of all time, Howard Stern.
Ever.
Yes.
Oh, man.
You know,
Wait, we do.
all my years in radio,
Yes.
nothing works better on radio than magic.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
You guys are on to something.
It's a great note.
I told you, Arnett.
I
not a
don't.
good
I don't
idea.
want to come off like an expert. You know, I've only
great-
been, only been
great
doing
note.
this for like 50 years.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
You've also made Howard the second guest.
I remember.
Okay? When's the last time you weren't the lead guest?
I know, and I remember having Amazing Kreskin on, and the audience was amazed as I described everything that was going on in the room.
Yeah.
The play-by-play was unbelievable. Yeah, he made a table lift, and I go, if you were here now, you'd see a table lifting off the ground. And people are like, no wonder this is such a great radio show.
proud.
First of all, welcome to Sirius XM, the
Yes,
glorious
thank you.
world
Thank
of
you.
Sirius XM.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the company, so welcome.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know how long I've been with Sirius XM.
Since it started, you started it.
When I started, we had 200,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And I remember walking around in, I don't even know where I was, somewhere in Manhattan, handing out radios for free, hoping that someone would take one.
Yeah.
And it was a harrowing experience leaving terrestrial radio and coming to Sirius, but it was
Yeah.
the best decision I ever made.
Of
And
course,
you weren't allowed to
course.
talk about it too, right? When you were at the very end there, when you're on terrestrial radio, I remember that.
Yeah, it was a very strange time in my career. I was on regular radio,
Yeah.
and I somehow convinced them that it would be okay if I talked about the fact that I was leaving regular radio and going to satellite radio. And then they told me, okay. They said, don't mention Sirius Radio, just call it something else. So we called it And
No, but what you
Yeah.
did for it, though, because we had all sort of heard that satellite radio was coming, and I was a little circumspect. And
hold on a second. Which one are you? You're Jason.
I'm
right?
Jason.
That's Jason. That's Jason.
then I was
Very
like, well,
confused.
I don't know if I want satellite. I got to get a different radio for that. But when you went to satellite, I was like, oh, it's okay now. I'm
Right.
going to go to it was like when Fincher went to Netflix, it was like, oh.
You do forget because things move rather rapidly, but it was a very strange time because there was an effort by regular radio to say what a failure I would be.
Right.
And they were putting out that anyone who went to satellite radio, your career would be over, you would disappear forever, and then, you know. So there was this big campaign to, discredit satellite radio.
Yeah.
But I knew deep in my heart that satellite radio would be successful. And now I look around, everybody's got a fucking microphone in their house.
Right.
Everybody's on the radio. You three.
I know, it's
But-
ridiculous.
You want to hear the most
Right.
aggravating thing?
Right.
But Howard,
It's-
I do love you guys. But
Yeah.
Couple things.
Jason and I, and the only person I didn't know was Sean.
Right, it's
And,
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And I do want to ask you about your classical piano.
Oh, my
All right. And I
experience.
want to ask you about your guitar playing.
Yes, I'm most impressed with your classical piano.
well, you guys will get some time after the interview.
No, but here's the thing I want to tell you that annoyed me.
Yeah.
Can I tell you this?
Yeah.
So Jason was over my house, and I have mad respect for Jason. I think he's a fabulous actor.
Incredible,
and,
one of the best.
Wonderful guy. He's overcome a million.
It's been a great time for you to
when
call
hear
me
the
Justin.
problems
He's had a lot of problems.
A lot of fucking
A
problems.
lot. And he still has a bunch.
Yeah, he's got a lot of problems.
Look at him.
We could go on all day. But, I'm talking to Jason, and I'm feeling very good about my own career and everything. And Jason goes, man, it's crazy. We, started this thing out of our basement, like a radio show. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Cool. And he goes, we started a thing, and it was just the three of us sitting around, and we talk, and we just crack each other up and everything. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with it, man, but they're telling me it's the biggest thing ever.
Shit, I didn't say that.
Oh, yeah.
No way.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah. So I go, oh, this is great. Again, I spent my life.
Yes.
Like begging people to put me on the radio. It
Yeah.
was rarefied air if you even were allowed on there. You had to work on your voice, this and that. You had to work on the content. You had to make sure you get people. He's clowning around. Yeah. So listen, it's over. What can I
know,
say?
but you talk about
you hide your
perfecting
bitterness
you
really
talked
well.
about,
I'm so bitter. So bitter.
Kidding.
Yeah, right.
You talk about perfecting your craft. So how did you first meet the Whack Pack?
Oh, that's an excellent question.
It is. I want to know because you found the craziest group of people available and put them together. How did that come together? The Whack Pack?
Listen, when I was on the radio,
Yeah.
and it was brutal. In order to get an audience and to maintain an audience, every 15 minutes they take the ratings in radio. It isn't
Really?
like this, where you go, you know what, we have a lot of people listening. It could be 3 people listening to this. Nobody knows, nobody cares.
Right.
But you're on the radio, and every 15 minutes they take ratings.
Right.
And what are you going to do to hold people's attention?
But you found all these people like this, kind of.
But look, I found people that I was interested in.
Right.
I'll never forget the day. I was on the radio, and I took a little bathroom break, and I walked by my green room. The lights went up. I'm looking at the room, and there he is, Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
You know my Jason, you ever hear my show?
It was
okay. Well,
in high school, I listened to it a lot.
there was a guy named Beetlejuice who's very popular, even
Right.
to this day on the internet.
Right.
It's insanely popular.
Right. So, I said, this guy's a star. He's going to be
Yeah, be
fantastic.
quiet so they don't hear it.
This guy's going to be a star.
This guy's going to be a star. And sure enough, he was. No, I mean, I was always looking for interesting people.
Yeah.
to
I have a
interview.
question about that. In early on, where did you get the balls to not give a shit about the consequences of what you were saying and what you were doing on air? Where do you get that from? Because do you think you would have that now if you started your career now with the same personality? Since we live in cancel culture, go ahead.
I believe I was technically insane. I mean, I can't even.
Self-sabotage? Like you had this level
No,
of
not
indifference and it was-
self-sabotage. Well, here's the truth. In my family, words meant nothing. My mother would say, actions only mean anything. And I guess I took her literally.
Yeah.
Howard, what would you consider would be the sort of the turning point in your career where you kind of broke through? Because again, you had all these, you sort of, you keyed into this kind of thing, with odd characters on your show. But what was the turning point where you felt like you broke through to a bigger audience?
I had a miserable failure in Detroit. I got hired to be the morning man at WWW
Oy.
in Detroit, which are the worst call letters for a radio station. I get on there and go, WWWW, Detroit's W4. Wah, 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 wah. I don't know what I'm doing. So I was hired to be the morning man. I had some success in Hartford. Not a huge success, but success.
Yeah.
And I got hired in Detroit. And there was a radio consultant who said to me, do not go to Detroit. There are 4 rock stations. And out of the 4, the one that they want to hire you at, dead last. Nobody even, I would go to parties and people would say, what do you do for a living? I'd say, oh, I'm the morning guy in W4. They go, oh, is that station still on the air? Nobody listened to this thing.
W4 was a short version of WWW.
W4, Detroit's W4, the worst station. So, yeah, I went on the radio in Detroit. It was a tremendous failure. And I said, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And I sat with it and I thought, I've got to really just, I guess, lose all inhibition and admit
Amazing.
to everything. and just see where that goes. And when I went to Washington,
Kind of hit
D.C.,
bucket. It was like it was not going great, and it was like, might as well throw it all against the wall.
but I have to give the credit to also Robin Quivers. I met her in Washington, and she
Yeah.
was
Yay,
phenomenal.
Robin.
The chemistry was great. And a program director put us together, and I went on the air with her, and I started to become very confessional, and people respond. We shot up to
because-
'1 in a record amount of time.
Because it was real and honest, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And
And
then-
So that was the moment when you started getting really real about your own life. That
Yeah.
started to change it.
Yes.
And did you notice being real about your life because so much? Anybody who's listening to the show knows that you talk about what's going on in your life, what you did on the weekend, new haircut, new clothes, whatever.
Let's wait a second. Talk about. I was masturbating at least
You're
3 times a
masturbating.
day and
Okay.
talking.
I was
about
trying
it.
to not. My kids are here, so.
I'm not
Oh, sorry.
And I'm not sure there's been
How
a
many
new
do you
haircut.
have exactly?
I mean, we're looking into it, but the point is.
We got to find out.
The point is you
Where's
talked
Jimmy Fallon?
You talked about so much about your personal life. Was there a point where talking about your personal life hurt your relationship? I don't mean necessarily even romantic. I mean hurt relationships because people were nervous about talking to you
Yeah,
at a party or I know you didn't.
Well, it hurt everything. It hurt but I didn't care.
Right.
All I cared about was my job,
Right.
keeping that job, and getting audience and ratings, and that is
But, did you
a
wave it-
disaster.
But you
for
wave
your
at somebody on the
personal
street
life.
and go like, "Hey," and they're like, "Fuck, man, I don't want to say hi to him because I'm gonna end up on the
Yes,
show tomorrow."
I mean,
Yeah,
people. Not only that, I went through a very strange period of time. I don't want to get all heavy about this because
Let's do it.
everyone knows the show is not heavy.
no, no.
There's
I-
nothing.
we're
No, but
gonna-
I don't want to
Here
get
we
heavy.
kicked over Sean's
We're
day.
gonna
I
make
don't-
you cry before you're out of here.
Okay, well, I'll do that. What it was is that I was very insecure about my career. I wanted this thing to take off in the worst way, and so I even had a policy about. I stayed in my home after I did my show. I never went out. I was insane, so I didn't want to meet anyone in show business because because I was talking on the air about a lot of people, and I didn't want. So I just stayed in my house. I planned the radio show, did it, and went home. And the stuff I was doing was so outrageous and so entertaining to the audience that it blew up. I mean, in New York, we had 25 million listeners, and 1 out of every 4 cars on the Long Island Expressway was listening to me.
Wow.
That is
And it was
crazy.
pretty
Yeah.
phenomenal.
But you have no.
But
but-
I had no life.
But
Don't applaud. I had no life.
but Howard,
Where's Bradley Cooper? He's so good looking.
But Howard, that
Right, yeah.
shifted. That
If I looked like that, I wouldn't have to go on the radio and say shit.
And we will be right back. And now back to the show.
Howard, that shifted though because, and it was about, I'm going to say almost 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more, where you started hanging out with a lot of people and your life changed. And you became kind of one of the people that used to talk in a certain way, right? Not one of the people, but you became friends with a lot of people.
I did.
And you allowed celebrities into your life. You became friends with people like Jason Bateman from TV and film, who we all love.
Well, my
Greatest.
dream was to
But-
be friends with Jason Bateman.
Sure,
And
yeah,
I
yeah,
said,
yeah.
there's only one way I'm going to get
Long
this guy on my
time.
side.
Long
But did
Our-
that-
it's our dream too. Still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
But
yet.
it shifted. Like I remember back years ago, you remember I used to call at Chevy Chase's house all the time. She used to drive him crazy.
Yeah.
I hope
I
he's
told
not.
you I was insane.
I know. But then it changes it because you have to meet those people
Yes.
right out in the world.
Well, Chevy ended up coming to my wedding, which is even more important.
Come on,
and
is that
got
true?
up, yes, and got up to make a beautiful speech to myself and my bride, and then stated to the audience that I had given him herpes.
Wow.
Which was really weird.
Wow.
But
your
I
audience-
loved it. I
But
loved
your
it.
audience is bigger today than it's ever been, and you're not doing all of those sort of shocking things. You're doing measured, deep conversations, long form interviews with very sophisticated people, and so.
Well, because I think any good performer, and you guys are great performers, and you know this, you must evolve. The show, you know, I used to say this. Now, Rush Limbaugh, forget the politics. You know, he had a very big following, but it was the same thing every day. You could predict what he was going to
But
say.
some people like that because it's like comfort and whatever.
Comfort to them. But for me, as a performer, I felt I want the show to be funny. I also want to be able to interview people. I want it to be broader. And I made a conscious decision to shift the show and change it around. And to me, it was way more exciting because the common thought was, well, Howard will go to satellite, and now the show's going to be so fucking filthy, and everyone's going to be out of their mind, and it's going to, and the strippers are going to be able to fuck on the air. And,
Did you miss those constraints? Sorry,
no,
Jay.
no, the constraints, by having the constraints off, I said, well, then it's no longer funny.
Exactly.
You know,
Right,
if you, in
you know-
regular
you-
radio was funny. The government was trying to shut me down. That was drama.
And that's fun. That's tension,
yeah,
right?
but then I got to satellite. The tension wasn't there. So
Right.
what do you do now that you have the ultimate freedom?
Right.
And I decided to shift the show, and I ultimately am more interested in the show now
Right.
than I've
And
ever been.
I would
Yeah.
say that it would, in a compliment to you, that it was less deliberate or contrived or strategic for you to, let's switch it up now and give the audience something they're not going to expect. I think it's, and I haven't known you for, 1,000 years, but it does seem pretty obvious that you have naturally just evolved into a more curious, serious, not as a pejorative, person who's interested in different kinds of questions and with
let's
different
make it
kinds of
simpler.
people.
Let's make it simpler.
It wasn't like
it would
a
be really
ratings
creepy to
ploy.
be my age and still doing a show the
Right,
way I
but-
did it when I was 30. When I was
But
30,
you
I was
weren't doing it as a
drugged out.
ratings ploy. You were
Yeah.
being sincere and
Yeah.
genuine, and you
I thought I
brought
was
all-
funny.
Yeah.
And I always had this idea that we could be really funny on the radio. That radio didn't have to be a bastardized
No, but I mean
medium.
now. It was
And now
not
it
a
could still
ratings
be
point
funny,
out, and
yeah.
you are hands down the best interviewer in
Oh,
all of
thank you.
media.
All right.
I mean,
Thank you.
It's true.
without a doubt.
Take
King
the
of media.
compliment, Howard.
King of
Jesus.
media.
I'm
no-
taking the
like,
compliment.
no
my
matter what.
psychiatrist said you should be able to take a compliment.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But
this
like,
is what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I
like
love-
not. It doesn't matter whether it's comics or athletes or musicians or actors or whatever it is. You question them for us as
love that
us,
aspect
and it's
of-
a layman's point
Yeah.
of view, and it's very curious, and you're listening. You don't have a bunch of fucking cards with questions on it. You're engaged in a conversation, and it was a true inspiration for us. It really
Sean
was.
is holding up all his cards.
By the way, let's let Sean get a question. He wrote
Come on,
1,000.
Sean.
I literally, I have pages of them because I don't
Sean
know.
and I don't really know each
That's
other.
why
yeah.
I wrote all this
Right.
stuff down, and I start in my research of you because I am a big fan. I found all these things that we actually do have in common growing up. Issues with our dad. You don't like Italy, which you just went with Jimmy Kimmel. I didn't want to go either.
Right.
We're gonna get- I wanna
bullying
Italy with you.
Wait,
You want
boy,
to-
wait, stop, wait. Bullying, like as a kid, I was bullied too, not for being Jewish, but for being gay.
He's going
And
to get to the question.
I was I was bullied for being gay, and I wasn't. It's crazy. I got bullied for everything.
Well,
I say I'm not gay.
well, we're sorry to see you leave. Leave
They
that
say, you
side.
seem very gay.
But the thing that I thought was fascinating, my mom had a glass eye, your dad had a glass eye, and neither one of us was allowed to talk
Okay,
about it.
can I ask you a question?
Can you
Wait.
wait 1 second?
Is your mom still alive? Is your mom still alive?
No, she's dead.
Okay. My father died 2 years ago.
I know. I'm sorry about
But I
that.
want to ask you a question. What
Yes,
would you?
he-
I
yes.
wanted. This is a what
Yes,
would you
he
do?
has it.
Forget these other two guys. I'm asking you because you had a mother with a glass eye.
Yeah.
So my father had this glass eye, and I could go into that for 3 hours. I could do
Same.
it. Right.
Same. There's so many things.
It's so fucking heavy.
It's so great. But it's also funny.
But when he died, I was given a box of his stuff.
Yes.
In it. What do you mean? Oh, well,
Yeah.
I told you shouldn't have an audience at this
By
guy.
the way, the same.
I open up the box.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's my father's glass eye.
Wait a
gotta be.
minute. The same
Yeah.
thing.
Who
When
else?
my mom died, my sister passed it around and repackaged it. To each one of us, we open. Oh, we got something from my sister. It's my mom's fucking
Here
eye.
comes the question. Here comes the question.
Yeah.
So I go to my wife. I say, I got this eye.
The
Yeah.
great Beth.
Beth.
My
The great
beautiful
Beth.
Beth.
Beth Stern.
Where is she,
Where
honey?
Is Beth? Where is Beth?
Oh, there she is.
Oh, there she is.
Oh, I love you
Hi,
so
Beth.
much.
Nice to meet you. I've heard such great things.
So anyway, here's the
okay.
thing. So I turn to my wife, and I say to my wife,
Yeah.
what, I don't know. I go and I open it up, and my father's eye was such a taboo subject. My father never
Same.
talked to me about anything.
That's right.
And one time I asked my mother, does Dad have a glass eye? And she said, listen to me. That's your father's story. Don't ask me. And I'm like,
Wait,
what
how old
the
were you?
fuck? I was a kid.
How old?
Okay, here's the deal.
Wait, how old were you when you still didn't know whether your dad's eye was glass?
No, they wouldn't talk-
And,
uh,
did it
oh,
blink
I-
shut? Did it blink
I
shut or did
wanted
it
to
stay
know-
open? Did it blink shut or stay open?
It stayed mostly open, and also things would.
You needed to
form up.
confirm?
My mom.
You wear
Yes.
kind of shades, like a sort of like a tinted glasses.
It wasn't the confirmation of the glass eye. I wanted to know what happened with my father.
right, yes.
But I wasn't allowed to ask. My father would blow up if everyone was afraid he'd get really angry.
Fucking throw that eye at you.
It could.
Yeah.
But,
My.
but here's my question.
Yeah.
So what? So now I have the eye, and I said to my wife, I need to find out how to. I can't just take my father's eye and throw it in the garbage. Like there might be laws against that. I don't know.
Right.
Are there? I don't know. So,
Why wouldn't you want to save it as a keepsake?
No,
Of your dad?
Where is it, Beth?
no. It's
Beth, where is it? It's a cat toy now.
She's got it in. She's got it in a locket around
She
her
brought
neck.
it here for you guys. No, so she says to me, throw it in the ocean. I go, I'm
That's
not going to throw
beautiful.
my. I'm not. I said,
Because your dad's
imagine my father's
your,
eye
Your
washing.
dad's
up.
never
Beautiful.
seen
That's
the ocean.
beautiful.
Yeah.
He loved the ocean.
So what did you do with the eye? Is my question.
What did you do?
Well, I got it sitting in a box.
Yeah, of
Yes,
course you do. You got to
same.
hold it. You're not tossing in the fucking ocean.
No, you're not. No, my
John,
mom.
you brought yours on stage.
My mom. So it was same. We weren't allowed to ask about it. Irish Catholic, same as Jewish. You just don't talk.
Right.
You stuff it all down.
Yeah.
So there's
and
our
you laugh
headline:
through it
Irish
all.
Catholic, same as Jewish.
Absolutely.
That's our we
Yeah.
got
That's
our
the title
quote.
of this episode. And so my mom.
There are a few differences between Irish Catholics.
Just a couple.
But not gays and Jews.
Yeah, right.
So my mom, we weren't allowed to. So my whole life, I was like, I'd be at the store, and the checkout girl at the counter would be like staring at my mom's eye. I'm like, Mom, they're staring at your eye. Shh, just shut up, right? So then 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, 35 years old. Finally, I'm like, Mom, what happened to your eye? And she still didn't want to talk about it. I found out after she died, she had cancer in the eye. They took it out 2 years old.
Wow.
And then as she grew older, this gets really gross and funny. As she gets older, she gets, my sister and I read the medical reports. They took skin from her vagina to reshape her eye as she grew older. And then my oldest brother goes, I knew when I got upset with her, I wanted to fuck her in the eye. God.
Wow.
It's true. We make, it's
That's it. This show has to be canceled. They're ridiculous. That is very
No, we
I
offensive.
made a
But-
terrible joke about that once a long time ago, but I'm not going to repeat it here.
What do you, by the way, we're all talking about being honest. That's an
No, I
honest
love it.
story. That's true story.
Yeah.
And that's us making jokes about painful things.
Yes.
So
and-
her complaint after that, she thought that everybody looked like a cunt, right? Isn't that what she said? Didn't
When
she
I was a-
famously say that?
when I was a little kid, I was 5
Hey,
years
Howard.
old.
Sorry, yeah, go
There was
ahead.
a guy on my block, a kid on my block, 5-year-old kid, said to me, he came up to me, he said, my parents told me your father has a glass eye. I was so freaked out.
Yeah.
We got into a fist fight. It's probably the only fight I ever won.
Yeah,
I
was 5
beat
years
him
old,
up.
too. Yeah.
It was crazy. But I could never ask. My father wasn't approachable like that. That's why it was so much mystery.
Did you ever get the story?
Yes, I did. It was a
You don't have to
crazy
share
story.
it.
What happened was I was so curious about the eye and everything about my father because I didn't know him. I would sneak into his room when they would leave the house, which was infrequent. Nobody ever left my house. And you would, so
No one could figure out the
so
lock.
my father kept his eye with his porno. So the eye
Wait,
is,
what?
My father had porno, like he had some erotic books and things.
Sure.
If you met my mother, she's not exactly putting out. My mother once said to me, I'd prefer to be
but that's
celibate,
okay.
but your father has needs. I go, really? That's gross.
Oh, but fucking somebody in the eye isn't. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Those books, no movies, no tapes.
It was books back then, and the books were wacky. But the eye was staring at me. I wanted to read the erotic books, so I was all freaked out about it. The eye. But then
He
finally,
pops it out to go to sleep.
I don't know what went on, but in all seriousness, I finally talked to my mother about it. She wouldn't tell me, but I broke her down, and it was a terrible accident when my father was young. He put some film in a bottle, and the bottle exploded. He lit it, and it exploded in his eye when he was a little kid. And
wow.
So. And my father had a fabulous attitude about his eye in the sense that I didn't see any evidence that he saw himself as handicapped. He did his thing. So
Was he just proud? Or was that the thing he just didn't want to?
I think it was a big pain, for him in his life. Seriously, a seriously big pain,
Wow.
And it was a big
my
issue.
mom would sleep, her eye was constantly open. So when she slept, she'd be like, like this. And I approached the bed, and I'd be like, Mom? Oh, she's sleeping. Oh, no, she's not sleeping. Oh, she's awake. Like, I didn't know whether. I'm like, can I get a glass of water? Oh, I don't. Oh, you're sleeping. Like, it was constantly. Just like that. It was crazy. And then we would.
Where is the eye now?
My sister has it in a box.
Is it like a timeshare? You get it like no, but do you get it for like if you want it for the holidays?
Sure, I could do it. She could pass it around. One really quick question. I've said this on the show before, but we used to take. My mom used to go bowling on Thursday nights, and we used to go upstairs. We used to invite friends over, and we'd had a chain on the door. And we'd go upstairs and get her extra eye. She had two, and she in the box. And we'd get her, and they knock on the door, knock, 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 and we'd open it just as much as the chain would go, and we'd stick the eye out and go, "Who's there?" With the eye. Anyway,
I wouldn't have risked that in my house.
That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
It's fun but dangerous if you knew my dad.
Tell me about Italy and Jimmy Kimmel. Did you like Italy? I know you didn't want to go.
I'll give you an exclusive.
Yeah.
It was, and this is the most boring answer ever. It was actually a bad question because I loved it. I don't have anything to bitch about.
You didn't think you were going to love it. No way.
I don't like to travel. I'm perfectly happy sitting at home, and if I want to see Italy, I'll go on the internet and look
CNN.
at pictures.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I can. But,
I went to Paris once, and I was like the Eiffel Tower, and I saw it. I'm like, got it, ready to go home.
Yeah, that
it looks
was
like
it.
the movies and the postcards got it. It looks the same.
Yeah, we had a
Jimmy
great
and Molly
time.
somehow convinced you and Beth that this is going to be great.
No, I had said, my wife wanted to travel, and I wanted, I wanted to be a human being for I can't be in a marriage, and if my wife wants to travel, I can't say, well, go ahead.
Once a year, she gets
so
out.
you go, and we ended up having a very romantic time, honey. Right? Romance was in the air. Romance happened, and
Barely confirming that,
I
listener.
know.
Yeah.
Poor woman. Imagine, think about it.
That was a nod.
Imagine me crawling on top of you in Florence. I mean,
Okay.
it's like a praying mantis attacking you. I felt for the woman. I did. But she's a good sport. She took it like a champ.
Jesus.
And I felt horrible. But honey, it wasn't so bad, right? It was over quick.
You're the king of the insects. You're like, woo.
Yeah. It's like, oh, like the brindle fly,
Howard, do you have any? Is there any one interview you have that you regret? Is there any one that you're like?
Oh, many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the one
yeah.
you regret the most?
Well,
then?
because I was an asshole many times. When I was on regular radio, terrestrial radio, whatever you want to call it, I didn't have the faith that if I did an interview that my audience would hold. We had something like a 10 share, a number one in New York, and I thought, well, if someone comes on the air and they're talking, I could hear the radios clicking off. That the only thing that might be compelling is if, I was doing my thing.
Right.
Which means I was not trusting of other people, that other people might have talent. So there were people, and I've written about this, the fabulous, most wonderful Robin Williams, for example, came on my show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I just was ridiculously insulting.
And why?
Because I was trying to be funny. Robin Williams is way funnier than I am. Let him be funny.
Right.
But being the insecure child that I was, and somehow having some connection with an audience where I was intuitive and thinking I could hear when they're turning off the radios. If somebody gave a long answer or it wasn't moving fast enough, if the rhythm wasn't right, I could hear the radios clicking off. And so I really had no business having guests on.
It's funny. You're really honest about that in your self-assessment of that time in your life. Now that you're older, and is that just a result of getting older, or is this a result of doing a lot of work?
It's a result of leaving terrestrial radio and going to satellite. It suddenly dawned on me.
Oh.
I work for a company now that has 100-something channels. As long as the person who's paying for a subscription is happy with the product, and if they're listening to me and I'm doing a long-form interview, and if it's not their cup of tea, they can go to a different channel on our service. And that freed me. That liberated me. Because it wasn't about me necessarily holding the audience.
The pressure.
If you enjoy listening to Robin Williams, great. Then we have you as a listener. But if you don't, there's a million other choices on
But
satellite.
don't you also find that you're no longer your agenda is no longer to provide a show for your listener, but instead perhaps you hope that the people remaining listening to you on that particular day happen to be as interested in the person you're talking to as you are. In other words, you're not.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's a more honest sort of. You're not pushing. You're not pressing. You're just.
Yes, but you couldn't have
sincere.
done that if you guys started your radio. Let's say you started a career in radio back in the day. This format would not have lasted. It would not be on the radio. It doesn't hold an audience en masse.
Right.
You know, Jimmy Fallon's sitting in our audience, right? When he does an interview, he can't do an hour interview.
Right,
He's
right.
got to sit there because he's dealing with televisions coming on and off and on and off. We're in a unique position. The period of time we're in right now has allowed us to sit here and have a real conversation, and we can play to a niche audience.
Yeah.
And so, you know, not to get too academic about it, radio, the old format of radio is gone. And I recognized that when I came to satellite, and I felt that was the innovation. I could sit and have a real conversation with someone like Robin Williams. And I have regrets that,
Interesting.
yeah, the format helped me to evolve.
Right.
Yeah.
I have an actual question for Jimmy. You know, seriously, no, to that point.
No
like,
offense, but I think I'm the interview
No,
subject.
it's
Howard, you've been great.
We had the
It's-
we had a magician on.
I guess I just haven't delivered the goods. Jimmy, why don't you take over? This always happens. Always
No, it
happens.
has-
with the
it
guy.
has everything
Why don't you
to-
get up and do a few Gilbert Gottfried impressions? Go ahead, pal.
It has everything to do with what you just said,
Okay.
which is Johnny Carson used to have long interviews, 20 minutes, half hour. And so, Jimmy, I was thinking about you because you're one of the best at what you do. Thank you for standing. Have you ever had discussions about what Howard is saying about instead of the 6-7 minutes you do? Oh, right, you don't have a microphone.
Uh-oh, he's coming up to
There we
stage.
go. Here
Listen,
we go.
he's never going to leave. You
coming
know
out of your
that.
time.
Once Jimmy
They
comes
got a
on.
mic for him now.
The Fallon mic.
I love
Hey,
this
Jimmy
man.
Fallon.
I love him. I love
Hey.
him. Yeah. Come on, Jimmy. God bless
Come
you.
on, Jimmy.
Can I leave now?
No.
Yeah, right.
Did
Yeah.
you ever have the discussion about changing your format to do kind of where this feels like it's going, which is long form interviews as opposed to 6-7
can't.
minutes?
No,
You
you
can't.
can't do it.
No.
I wish that I could do a longer interview with
Right.
with certain guests. But yeah, but I do wish that I can get into it and talk for an hour. I'm jealous when I can listen to you.
When you hear a real conversation.
Yeah, I love it because
Yeah.
then when it gets going, it's great, and even with an audience, like
Right.
you said, like we're loving this.
But here's the
I
good
don't know if
news.
you-
When I'm in the mood for what you provide and what Kimmel provides, what Colbert provides, you guys do it better than anyone.
Forget about the other guys. Let's talk about me and focus
why
on what I do.
But when
Let's
I
focus on-
want, when I'm in the mood for a long form thing,
Right.
it's like there's no one better. You know.
Thank
It's-
you.
it's-
Thank you.
How much
Thank
do
you, Jimmy.
you
Thank you, Jimmy.
choose?
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Jimmy
Jimmy.
Fallon.
Jimmy
Thank you,
Fallon.
Jimmy, one
Fallon.
Gilbert Gottfried
Amazing.
impression, for
Amazing.
Christ's sake.
Thank you.
All right.
I just want to say, my wife, my beautiful wife Paula, is in the audience. She dated you when you were 14. Anyway, you haven't talked to her in a couple of years. Give her a call.
Paula Javonen.
I love Jimmy very much, by the way. I want to
We
tell
love
you.
Jimmy.
Who doesn't love Jimmy Fallon?
By the way, I'll let you in on a secret.
And Nancy Javonen.
Oh, Nancy's the best. Jimmy and I are going to go camping together on a beach, and it's just going to be the two of us alone. And Jimmy, right? We're going to be in a, what is that called? An RV? An Airstream.
Airstream.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Howard,
going.
how much of your
He thinks I'm going to go. Yeah.
How many of your guests? Because one of the other things that we get to do is we get to choose. We reach out to people that we're interested in talking to.
Right.
How much of that do you do, and how much of that comes in through?
We reach out to some people, but mostly, and this is probably to our detriment, but I don't want to have a lot of guests. We keep a limited amount. I think some of our strongest shows are when we're just sitting and doing our own thing.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. And now back to the show.
I have to say, I tried to be a guest on your show for so many years. I kept asking my publicist every year, just hoping, like, are things good enough in my career where maybe I could be with Howard? And I remember
It wasn't bad.
No. But I once got my publicist said, "Listen, Jason, we got news back. It's good news, bad news. Good news is he says he's a fan. Bad news is he says he just genuinely really has nothing he would like to
No.
know about. No. But
Get outta here.
I'm paraphrasing. But it was absolutely
You know what
true.
I was like? I
there's
said,
nothing fantastic
honestly,
about
and
my
I've
life
said, I've
anyone
said this
would-
to Jason. I said, look, I could Google you and find out
You're
enough
right.
stuff. I
There's
don't really
like-
need to sit and
there's
talk to
nothing
you.
like-
about anybody.
Really, what have you
I'd rather
done?
talk to a.
Stop it.
No, but seriously, it's much
No.
more interesting talking to somebody
No.
who's got like a weird, fucked up.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
If I did a show every day where I just interviewed one guest, that would be fascinating to me. But there's also an audience in my group that likes to hear us doing, bits and shtick and like sitting and talking, Robin and I just talking. And I recognize that. So I don't overload the show with a lot of guests. But sometimes we do reach out. Like, I wanted Joe Biden on, so we had him on. And I wanted Bruce Springsteen. I begged him to come on. I just wanted him to come on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and
a white whale.
It was unbelievable to be sitting in a room with Bruce, and he's doing a concert basically, and talking about how he creates songs. Yeah, so we do reach out, and there are people I just love.
Do you
talking
miss
to.
playing music at all? Like being a disc jockey?
No,
and like,
it never was about music. It's weird. I play music and I talk over it.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't. When I got into radio, I was a disc jockey, straight disc jockey.
Yeah.
My father would say, first you must learn to be a straight disc jockey, not all that nonsense you do. So I went on the radio and be like, hi, this is Howard Stern, WRNW, progressive music from the woods, and this is Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. And so, we would do that, and I hated it. Even you had to segue, you had to play a record and make sure there was no dead air. And
You
I was
had no
like,
autonomy. You couldn't launch bands. You had to play.
oh, no, I played whatever I wanted,
okay.
but it was horrible. I mean, it was a lot of pressure. You had to get the commercials lined up. It was just you in a little room in a house somewhere up in the woods. Yeah. It was, these were these shitty radio stations, $96 a week.
Yeah.
And you played records and you announced them. And this is what I did. And I was the worst at it. I was the worst. There were no performers in my family. I didn't understand performance. I was not in show business. My father even said, you cannot be on the radio. You have no elocution. You do not enunciate. You read nothing.
You did. You did have some sense that you.
I had no sense.
But you
I
had
was
a
an
sense
idiot.
that you had a sense that your personality might be halfway
didn't
entertaining.
know.
That between that and the
Nobody,
music, someone
when
would
I'd
listen.
walk around college, nobody seemed to pay attention to me. I think I had the worst personality.
You had no confidence that you were going to be somewhat compelling at
No,
all.
I would write letters to my girlfriend saying, "I will be the world's greatest radio performer."
Why did you think that?
I have no idea. I don't know.
when
I
you
just
were
knew. I just knew that there was something there.
So you weren't always sorry.
No,
you,
please
you,
keep
so you
going.
weren't always. You weren't always this charismatic. You weren't always this
No,
comfortable in talking. And
no, it took me years. That's why I resent this podcast. You guys are just on here talking. I had to spend
4
years.
years.
I had to
4
spend
years.
years.
We've been doing it 4 years.
It took me 10 years just to get conversational. It was
Once
very
a week.
slow.
Yeah, that's
you guys are too talented.
No. That's
No,
fair
no,
enough.
but in all seriousness, it was
And how many
playing
years-
records was horrible.
Were you a fan of music, though?
Huge fan of music.
Yeah.
Music meant more to me than religion. I never got a thing out of religion, but man, when I'd hear the Beatles or the Stones or George Harrison, My Sweet Lord, that stuff, that spoke to me.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
moved me,
for
and
sure.
I was happy to launch a lot of bands. I was a program director for a while.
Yeah.
And I didn't even understand. I didn't know anything. A guy from a record company would call me up and he'd go, would you play our record? I go, sure. He goes, well, no, I'll play it for you. I said, you don't have to play it for me. I'll report it to Billboard. I didn't care. I was happy
Yeah.
to
do you
help
get
somebody
starstruck
out.
around musicians?
I admire musicians and I know how hard they work at it.
But is that the group that would, if anyone was going to get you starstruck,
Yeah.
that or athletes or
Oh, yeah.
musicians?
Yeah.
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 Who would be who's the one that you haven't met? You'd be like, I can't talk.
Oh, geez.
Is it a Beatle?
Well, I've met Paul
Yeah.
and Ringo, and they were great on the show.
You want to take a temperature of the room about the name the Beatles?
Oh yeah.
Do you guys know about this?
Old Captain
Shut-
Brain.
What happened?
But
Will?
let's take an
No,
honest,
Sean.
honest thing of the audience. I didn't know my whole life. I thought
should
it
be
was
embarrassed,
the insect of the Beatles. I didn't know it was people who make beats. The Beatles.
BEAT.
Right.
He was like,
Clap if you were with me.
"Oh."
Thank you.
Meanwhile,
Did not know that till
That just
right now.
killed-
I didn't know.
That just sucked the air out of the room.
I want to thank the guys for that story.
Have you seen?
mean-
Have you noticed the arrow in the FedEx logo?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. What?
All right, here's one you didn't know, Sean.
No, what is
Sean, here's one I guarantee you didn't know.
Yeah.
You know the place you go for roast beef, right? Arby's, right?
Yeah.
Why is it called Arby's?
They got the meat or whatever they say.
Okay, no. Think about it. Why is it Arby's?
Roast beef.
RB, roast beef.
I didn't know that, but I put it together.
RBs.
Arby's.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
Did not
You
know
didn't know
that.
that. Look at Will.
We could do this all day
This
long.
is going great. Hey,
Now wait. So speaking
is
of
happening?
Really glad I came on.
Hey.
By the way, these guys treat it like it's a TV show. I'm in a trailer. I'm waiting to come on.
know.
There's a warm-up act for the audience. I don't know from
Yeah,
this. You just go on the radio.
First of all,
Listen-
I don't think we've said it yet. I can't thank you enough for doing this. You don't
Yes.
do this. I've seen you
Howard,
do it
this
for
is-
Letterman. I've seen you do it for Kimmel.
Yeah.
You don't do this, and I can't
Yes.
thank you enough.
This is a
Well, I'm
really,
happy to
really.
be here. Thank
this
you.
is-
Happy to be here.
We really do, and just so you're not just hearing it from Jason, that you are the gold standard for us, and you are the guy
Oh,
that we
thanks.
always wanted
We
to
talk
get.
about you
Thank
all
you.
the
Yeah,
time.
and
Thank
honestly,
you.
this
Well,
is a big
I'm
deal
really
for us.
honored. And Will, much to your point, for many years I couldn't take a compliment, but I do appreciate you
Oh,
guys.
I got
Yeah.
one. I got a new one
Yeah.
for you.
Okay.
Everybody knows you're recently 70. It's unbelievable.
It's so fucked up.
No.
Yeah.
You have not changed.
Oh, God.
An ounce.
Beth,
I hit
back
the
me
wall.
up here. Like, what are
No, she
you
thinks
guys
I-
doing? Yeah, I know
What?
you're not out there like running 10 miles on the beach every day.
Yeah.
Is it just jeans? I mean, you look exactly
I look
the same.
terrible.
No, Howard.
The only thing I will
Does he not
say,
look
I
exactly
will
the
only
same
say
for the
the
last 30
I
years?
can't even see a picture, but I will tell you one thing. I do not color my hair.
No, I know. I
You
can tell.
don't?
Really?
I don't.
Yeah, but like,
This is it. And I have a gray beard.
He doesn't
but
either.
You don't color your
I don't
hair,
do
right?
anything.
No.
But you don't have. You're supposed to have like a belly.
I
And
do
like
have a
you-
belly. I have a
you're
belly
s-
and tits.
You're supposed to. Everything's got it.
I got a belly and tits, right, honey? You've seen me with my shirt off. Oh, she's busy talking.
By the way,
You
Sam,
want to go tarps off?
Yeah, wait.
you want to go top
we
off?
go tarps off?
But
No,
like,
no,
but
no,
you don't
no.
look like you ache or you're sore. I can't fucking.
mess.
No,
No, you're not.
seem like you're in great shape. Are you doing anything that?
Well, first of
we
all-
need to know
Paint
about?
guitar, painting, let's get into that.
I do. Well, yeah, I do. I paint. I like to paint.
It's incredible the painting here. I don't know if you
Yes.
guys. Does it people know? Okay, and the photography. It's
Thank
like,
you.
and the tiny sketching with the magnifying glass.
I like it.
God
I don't use a
damn.
magnifying glass.
No more.
No, I never did. I never used a
I
magnifying
saw your
glass.
drafting thing. There was something. That
Yeah, I have a big magnifying, but I don't use it for that.
Okay.
Use
Really,
it to
I'm
read.
I'm just telling you.
But it was
I don't
there.
use
I
it.
mean, I'm not fucking crazy.
No, it was there. It was there. It was there. But yeah, I enjoy those things.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
really,
Wait,
it's
how?
really cool.
When did you start playing guitar?
okay, so
Short version.
I'll tell you why I play guitar, and I'm going to blame Jimmy Fallon. For
You gonna
this.
jam with Jelly Roll tonight?
No,
Oh, is
no,
Jimmy
no,
here
no.
tonight?
Jimmy, stand up. There we go.
Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon says
Gotta
to
be
me,
kidding me.
here's what
Gotta
happened.
be
10 years ago, I turned 60, and I said I either want to play the guitar
Yeah.
or I want to learn to paint.
Oh, and you
I
did
never
both.
I never drew. I never, did anything. For some reason, I wanted to paint in the worst way.
So that's all in 10
And I
years.
began to study
Incredible
watercolor,
painter.
and I really
Yeah.
focused on it. I mean, and as a pianist, that you just have to focus on it.
Yeah.
It's not that people have some sort of natural ability.
Correct.
It's the work.
That's
You
right.
have
The
to work at it.
focus.
Exactly
People go,
right.
"Oh, I
Sean's
don't
been
have
focused
that."
on the pianist his whole life.
Yeah, and
And I'm an expert.
Just 2 laughs for that. I thought that was pretty good.
It's a tough
That's pretty
freaking
good.
crowd.
We'll
It's a
sweeten
tough
that in the
crowd.
edit. Yeah.
It's okay to laugh.
but
Yeah.
anyway, I enjoy those.
But
things.
I applaud you wanting to research and find other things. Not that you are older, like 70
this
is
is
not
what it
old,
is.
but that you pursue things
But
that
somebody
still
your
challenge
age
you.
is willing to do new things, is what you're saying.
Well, it's true.
No, that
and,
you
and by the way,
Congratulations.
that fucks my head up.
Yeah.
Because when I said to my wife, I want to learn guitar,
Yeah.
but I feel foolish because of my age. Like, what am I trying to do here?
No.
I don't want to be a rock star. I just want to understand
Challenge
music
yourself to a
But-
new hobby.
because I love musicians.
Yeah.
And I love what they do, and I want to understand that language.
Let's do a duet sometime, piano and guitar.
Do you play minuet in G?
I do.
All right, then we can do it.
Wait, are you playing
Yeah, I can play that,
playing
yes.
classical guitar?
No, but I don't
do
play
that.
classical.
Yeah, he's
guitar.
starting 12-string guitar, man.
I mean, I don't know.
No.
It hurts the fingers, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, look at the tips of my fingers. Look at those calluses.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
you'll
How
let
much are you
Jason
playing a
touch you.
day?
well, I'm on vacation now, so I can
From
play.
guitar?
No, from work. I'm on vacation from work.
Okay.
So I can play. I some days 5-6 hours.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
Wow. So you must be good now.
Who's
I'm not good.
Who's
I'm
your
not
favorite
good.
guitarist?
Oh, jeez, there's so many.
One, just name one of them. A few of them.
Well, I mean, you got to say Hendrix. You got to say Jimmy Page.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
Jimmy
yeah, yeah.
Page. Now I have even more appreciation for Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
I was playing one of the most beautiful love songs, "Thank You,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
by Zeppelin,
Yeah.
and the intro to that, and you sit and you realize this guy wrote this. Yeah, yes, yeah, excellent.
Thanks,
That,
guys.
was that you singing or playing the guitar?
Keep that applause up.
But you realize how brilliant it is. And in order to get to that level, you've got to play every day for hours and hours. And I'm mad at myself because when I was younger, I didn't allow myself to practice music, where Sean did when he was smart about it.
Well, when I was younger, I had so many, I don't know why I reacted this way, but so many adults, when they found out when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, playing piano, practicing, they'd go, oh, you know what? I wish I would have stuck with it over and over and over, all these adults telling me that. So I was like, there must be something to that. So that's what made me stick to it.
Was there a fork in the road where had you stuck with that instead of radio, you would
radio.
have been
It had to
that?
be radio for me.
So it was never like
I was 5 years old. I
architecture or-
announced to my family I will be on the radio, which was
you were all in.
ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. And
But your dad was a sound engineer.
yeah,
right?
well, he was a radio engineer.
Radio engineer.
Yeah.
So I mean, so that part of it made sense.
Yeah, but listen, my father didn't spend a lot of time paying attention to me or interacting with me, and I used to sit.
Mine did.
Well, I would watch him. Yeah, he was focused on you.
Yeah,
No, but he would when I would see him commuting to work, and he'd put the radio on, and Bob Grant was on, who was this conservative broadcaster, but the guy was mesmerizing on the radio. And I saw the way my father listened and shushed me, told me to shut the fuck up so he could hear Bob Grant.
Shut up.
I said, so that's how you get someone's attention.
Sit down.
You
Shut
get
up.
on the radio.
So wait,
You did it to get your dad's attention.
I think so, yeah.
So
Did you get? Sorry, just to follow up on that, if you don't mind. Jesus Christ.
sorry.
Do you think? What was the moment where your dad? I mean, obviously you had incredible success in radio. Was there a moment where was there an actual moment where he went, holy shit, Howard?
Yeah, I think my mother put him on. You know, he just said, oh, okay, I love you. You know, he was not, my father grew up in the Depression.
Yeah.
He had nothing. When I say nothing, it was like literally no shoes. You know, his father worked in a sweatshop as a pants presser. My father was a very deprived guy. And he didn't have a lot of room for emotion. I think he probably had a lot of bottled up emotion, but he couldn't express it, and he didn't know how. He didn't have the facility. But I would have loved to have known my father. I would have loved to.
Why do you think you're so well adjusted?
I'm not. I'm a mess.
Beth,
I'm still with a psychiatrist.
Beth wouldn't be with an idiot.
No,
wouldn't be with
it's
an
not.
asshole.
I didn't say I was an idiot. I said I'm fucked up.
No, you're
Now,
not.
Honey,
Honey,
come up here and tell people how fucked up. Please come up. and
Well,
tell
what
them.
do you
She says I'm a lot. Honey, please. You don't want to come up?
do you think but like I don't think that people know, like, if there was one misconception of you, do you have any idea what that might be? I mean, I don't know, but I will say that for me personally, given your edge of humor, it was really exciting to get to know you a little bit and see how incredibly soft and chewy you are on the inside, how incredibly sincere and genuine and attentive you are to the...
But what I said was, you know, it was unfair. I used to go around saying, oh, well, that's an act on the radio. It was who I was. I had a lot of anger.
Obviously, but there's a choice to, like, not be fucked up and just know how to manage that.
But my attitude about radio, and I say this over and over again, was I just want to make people laugh.
Right.
Yeah.
I want people to have a great time in their car. If it's a compelling interview, great. But if I'm sitting there and I'm being really funny and I'm doing something good, well, you know, that's what I'm trying to do. So I never did anything out of malice.
Yeah.
I did it because I thought I was genuinely funny.
Right.
Was I genuinely funny? Sometimes not.
You were speaking the truth.
Yeah.
You know, your observations were
I was speaking
spot
my
on,
truth,
but
yeah.
it was sometimes painful for folks, and that was the funny part.
Part of that, being honest, though, I remember when you spoke about your health scare about having a little spot on your kidney. Thank God it was nothing. Right. And you revealed, like, that was one of the first one of the few things that you did not share with your audience because you've always been so open and honest with your audience about everything.
I'll tell
So
you why.
where is that line, and is there anything?
I'll tell you why, and you guys probably know this from doing this now and having a popular show. You know, if you go on a radio and you say, listen, I could potentially, I have this thing, and they're telling me it could be cancer and
Yeah.
a 95% chance. You start to get letters from every know-it-all in the audience. Listen, my mother died. You're fucked. You're this. You're that.
yeah.
And I'm neurotic. I am neurotic about my
yeah.
health. I don't want to know. Where's Bradley Cooper? I just want to look at him. Come on. You know what
Come
I
on,
mean?
Bradley, set up.
There he is.
Where
There's
is he?
Bradley.
Hey,
He's
Bradley.
gorgeous.
Look at that. That son of a bitch. So good looking.
He's gorgeous.
I love Bradley Cooper. I don't mind
We
saying
all
it.
do.
No,
No,
there are
we do.
people. Sean doesn't love him. He
I
told me about that.
Bradley, I love you.
Another one
Can
of
I
the
tell you a
most-
Bradley Cooper
most
story real quick?
genuinely
We'd love to
kind-
hear a
Can
Bradley
I tell
story.
you a Bradley Cooper
if it's
story?
positive.
One of the greatest moments for me on the show, a personal, because you asked about people I interviewed. I was interviewing Bradley, and at the time, Bradley had just finished a run on Broadway.
Elephant Man.
The Elephant Man.
Brilliant
job.
Absolutely brilliant.
And I am a fan of the Elephant Man. And I said, you know, and Bradley's so serious about the Elephant Man. He has serious Elephant Man hang up. He goes, you know, I just want you to know I don't joke about the Elephant Man. I said, I'm not going to joke, but I would like to do the Elephant Man for you. And I would love if you would come back as your Elephant Man.
Yeah.
And so I said, oh, you're so kind. You're so full of kindness. So beautiful. And Bradley looked at me and I said, he's either going to walk out, and he goes, oh, thank you. And we had a moment where we were both the Elephant Man,
Wow.
immersed in our character, and it was
That's
one of
beautiful.
the single biggest highlights. Of
Radio
my
magic.
That
radio
is-
magic.
That's great.
You acted
Look it
with,
up.
You got to act with
I
Bradley.
got to act with Bradley Cooper. Very few people, you know.
Very
listen,
few pe- yeah.
This guy's one of our best actors.
He is.
Rarefied air, and
Without a doubt.
his
And one of the
Elephant Man.
greatest filmmakers we've got. Maestro is
Absolutely.
incredible.
that's
Absolutely.
right. And when he saw, he was so inspired. Tell him, Bradley, how good I was. He loved it. Never saw such acting. I've had no training, by the way, as an actor.
What?
That's right. That's right.
How many times did you audition for private parts?
Yeah, because I was going to say,
You want to know something about private parts? Here's
Yes.
the funny thing. So, in developing,
what a movie, by the way.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
Howard, it's a great
loved it.
movie.
Thank you.
It is
It's so good.
But I
So
got to
good
tell
in
you a
it.
funny story about because this leads into it. It's insane. So you know,
Closer to the mic, please.
yeah, but-
yeah.
so I wrote the book. I wrote the book, and I had no clue when they said they want to make a movie out of it. How am I going to make a movie out of this thing?
Betty Thomas.
Before Betty, I was involved in writing some of the scripts. We had other writers and this and that. There were 25 full drafts of this thing, and each one was worse than the next. And my agent at the time, who just passed away, and
Don
Buckle,
Buckle, yeah,
loved him.
he's great.
But he said to me, "These scripts are so bad, you'll be laughed at." So the movie studio said, "Listen,
Paramount?
we're at the Reicher Entertainment put up the money, and Paramount was the distributor." And so they said, "Listen, this is crazy. The money that we're spending on these writers, and you're not accepting any of these scripts. We're going to hire Jeff Goldblum to play you, since you won't do that."
No way. Is that true? Is
The
that
great Jeff
Swear.
Goldblum,
No
by
way.
the way.
I said, I looked him in the eye and I said, "You know what? I would pay to see that. I would love to see Jeff Goldblum as Howard Stern. I think it would be terrific." But
Wait,
anyway.
At this time, was there a plan for you to play the part, and they wanted
Yeah,
to
of
actually
course.
go
No,
another
but
direction?
they were so frustrated with me because I had written into the contract, and again, this was my agent's brilliance. They couldn't make the movie unless I had full script approval, and I wrote half the scripts, and they sucked.
That'd be so great to just shoot some scenes today with Jeff Goldblum.
Absolutely.
Right? And just put it on the internet?
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun.
You want to know one of the most thrilling things in my career? Speaking of that,
And then we got to go.
oh, you got to go.
No,
No,
after
you
this.
gotta go.
After
Oh, I do
You
this.
have a
Good.
hard out.
You have
a hard
your
out.
people are really tough about
Yeah.
that.
I have a hard out.
Yeah.
No, I do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm very busy. I have to go home and paint, and play
Yeah.
the guitar. Yeah. I'm busy. No, I sit at home and stare at the wall, and Beth looks at me. She's not allowed to leave the house. Didn't you know that? Honey, don't leave.
Will you go home tonight and just turn on the TV and
Oh yeah, I've got the advanced copy of next week's Bachelorette.
No way.
And I cannot.
Hey,
wait.
do you watch
Man.
Traders? Do you watch Traders?
No. Bachelor. I'm Bachelor Nation all the way. Anybody else with me? Yeah. Look, Jimmy Fallon's with me. Bradley. Sure. Well, these people have a life.
I love it.
Bradley, you do
it.
not.
Amanda loves it.
did
Bradley
not
doesn't
watch
watch
that.
it.
Bradley watches Bachelorette. That's the secret. He doesn't want anyone to know.
All right.
Yeah, he loves it. What time is it?
It's
time for you to go.
Yeah, it's
6:30. We're
We've
we're
gone
done.
way over.
We're
Howard,
out.
we've taken up way too much.
Way
of
too
your
much of your
way too much
time.
of your time.
Yeah.
You're very
My
kind of
God.
drive. By the way,
do
on
you
a
feel
scale,
we were a success?
yes,
This
you
was a
feel-
great
yes,
rehearsal,
very
guys.
success.
Oh my God.
Yes.
We're going to record.
Honestly,
Everybody take a nice break. We'll record in about 20 minutes.
What do you mean?
Great rehearsal.
What are you recording? Tell me. Are you
This
gonna?
was a rehearsal.
Is the show actually over? Or do I leave and then you keep talking?
you're
gonna
gonna
do a
leave, and
little
we're gonna
wrap-up.
keep. We're gonna
We're
do a
gonna
little
talk
wrap
about
up.
you a little
Yeah.
bit.
A wrap up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to talk about how great
Listen,
you are once you leave.
Howard, just
Maybe I should listen in. I'll sit here. I won't say a word. Go ahead. Let me hear what you guys do. And I'll tell you what I'll do.
That's
But here's the thing. But you got
Every once in a while, I'll interrupt and I'll just go, that's not good radio. Or that's really good radio.
I'll tell you what we will do.
Do you mind if we cut your mic?
Not at all.
Oh, here's
Okay.
here's
I was
here's
a judge on America's Got Talent.
I know, fantastic. It's the only reason I
So,
watched.
by the way, the guy who did the warm-up today, they had a warm-up. O's.
Yeah, O's.
I wanted him to win the entire season. He did not win that season. He should have. He's fat.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
He's phenomenal.
O's Perlman.
You know what you
A
can
name built for show business.
here's what you can
Doesn't
do
get better
while,
than that.
while you're being quiet and
Selling
pretending
suits.
that you're not here when we're doing.
No, I'm not going to do it. If I have to be completely quiet, I'm not doing it.
All right, you can talk a little bit, but I
I
want
will
you
do
to
that
think
under
about.
protest.
You might be. We might embarrass you if you stayed and heard how much we were going to
Can I
praise
say
you.
something about you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is going to hurt.
It's got to be kind.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
you for
you.
coming.
I'm very excited that you're part of the SiriusXM family.
We are
So
too.
are we.
I wish you a lot of success.
Thank you.
Not too much success, but a lot of success.
Sure.
And no, seriously, it's great to have you guys in the family.
Thank you for blessing us into it and by
Yes.
doing this.
Yes.
I understand the Sirius stock's going to go over $2.90 now that you guys are here. God bless. I can't wait. Oh, that stock. I'm going to be so wealthy.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys, please
What
help
did
us
this say?
thank
Oh,
Howard
thank you.
Stern.
Great Howard Stern.
Thank you, everybody. I can't get out of my chair.
Howard Stern, keep it going. Keep it going. The one and the only, the king of all media, radio, podcast, television, film.
He is the king of all
Everything.
media.
They had
I
to
know.
raise the ceilings of the talk house just for him.
Yeah.
All right.
That was surreal for me. I've never met him. I know. I didn't ever get
Was
to
he
talk
what you
to
thought
him.
he was going to be?
Yeah, I was really, really nervous. I was really nervous.
Or was he what you thought he was going to be?
Yes, I thought that.
How was he different than you thought he was going to be?
I didn't know he was going to be so relaxed and
And
easy
so
to
great,
talk to. Yeah,
right?
I thought he was going to be like, "So, what do you guys got? Let's see what you guys got." And he wasn't like that at all. You know,
No,
because
he-
he's the king of all of it. So,
But
I
he was
nervous.
also he's incredibly generous and empathetic, and
Yes.
probably knows that we're nervous and
That's right.
we're dumb, and we have a
Right.
new show, and he's
Right.
the king. And
That's why I
so
have
he-
75
No, he had a
cars.
But he,
tremendous
like,
amount of
but
tremendous
like-
amount of candor.
I was
He was
so
very
nervous.
right. Like,
yeah,
he was very-
immediately
Yeah.
he took the reins and helped
did.
us, and he started talking. It's
And you
just
wrote
amazing.
so many questions because you were so nervous,
I-
right?
seriously,
Sean
I
was
was
upstairs and we're like, "What the fuck? It's an hour."
Yeah,
How
just
are
like
you-
writing.
Any
writing.
questions you didn't get to that we should listen
Tons,
to?
Yeah, let's get-
tons.
No, anything you're really pissed you
Good
didn't
one.
get to.
Let's see. I mean, we talked about a lot. I want to talk about Italy a little bit more and what,
Oh,
and
yeah,
like his
he got-
vacation, like what's his ideal vacation.
We'll bring Jimmy on and talk about that.
Okay. Anyway, so I love him though. I've been a huge fan. And by the way, I didn't share with you guys the first time. What are you looking at?
Nothing. I'm
I
just
feel
trying
like
to
you're
think.
working.
I
Right
Yeah,
am. I am. I am. So
Can
the
you
first
see-
time.
can you feel it
so the
coming?
first-
Yeah, he
so the
starts to
first-
work on a buy.
So
Yeah,
you can
so-
see his brain.
so
you can
the
see it
first-
in
and he
real time.
tees himself up for it.
Right.
So the first
So the
time.
But it's
First
too
time, yeah.
early to do it now. We're still doing wrap up,
No,
aren't we?
We've wrapped up.
Okay, we're wrapped up. We're
Okay.
ready to go.
And we got Jelly Roll coming up, which
Okay.
is so exciting.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so here's the buy.
So the first time I was ever here
Oh, yeah?
in the Hamptons was only like 2-3 years ago,
Okay.
and that was the first time ever. And I
Right.
stayed with Will at his house, which is not very far from here.
Okay.
And
This is going to be terrible.
and this is gonna be horrible.
Dude.
And Will lives so close, so I was just gonna ask Will,
Were you
did
writing
you
a-
today? Did you drive yourself over here,
Oh,
or did you
no,
ride your
bicycle?
Bicycle. Jesus Christ. For the live
Sorry
show?
about that, guys. Sorry about
That was the
that. But
part.
the interview was fun, was it not?
That was really fun.
Hey!
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you so
so
much
much.
for
We're gonna
coming, you
stick
guys.
around
so
for
much.
Jelly
Bye.
Roll, right? Stick around for Jelly
Thank
Roll.
you, guys. And let's go enjoy
yeah.
some Jelly Roll.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jelly Roll. Please stick around for
after
Jelly Roll.
Jelly
outside,
Roll is
yes.
performing out there. We're so excited.
Thank you, guys.
SmartLess is 100% organic and artisanally handcrafted by Rob Armjarv, Bennett Barbaco, and Michael Granteri.
SmartLess.